verse 24, Ulladhu Naarpadhu Anubandam, 40 verses on reality by Sri Ramana Maharshi. In the earlier verses, we saw that we need to search for the source of I thought. Of all the thoughts that we entertain, the root thought is the I thought, which arises from the self itself, Brahman itself. And hence, if we go on searching for it, he says in this verse, ஆதலினால் அறிவுமயமாம் சுத்த இதயத்தை அகத்தை சேர்க்கும் சாதனையால் வாதனைகளோடு வாயு ஒடுக்கமும் சாரும் தானே. If you search and keep your attention on the source of I thought, something else will happen. What will happen? He says, when you join the ego or make the ego go and merge in the pure consciousness, what is called pure heart is nothing but pure consciousness, where there is no thought at all, and hence there is no thought of objects at all. No material is there because the thought is not there, because it is thought which always carries memories of material objects, human bodies, etc. So he says, by joining or taking the making the ego go and merge with the source, what will happen? Vayu odukkamum சாரும் தானே. He says, ஆதலினால் அறிவுமயமாம் சுத்த இதயத்தை அகத்தை சேர்க்கும் சாதனையால் வாதனைகளோடு, all vasanas, all memories will subside along with the breath. Earlier we saw breath and the I thought both arise from the same source within us, and hence when we practice pranayama, what is called breath control, and when the breath subsides, thought also subsides. Or if you do vicharam, inquiry, and when you trace the source of I thought, when the I thought subsides, breath will also subside. You will remain almost in a breathless state, almost zero breath. Not to be scared of, because that is the state where both the thoughts and memories and the breath subside. That is the final goal. All the practices lead but to that goal where we remain thoughtless. He says, Nanudiyadula Nilay, a state in which thought doesn't arise at all. Bhagavan would often say that like how for an unrealized person, not thinking is very difficult. The same way he says, for a jnani, for a realized being, thinking thought is difficult, he says. So the mechanism is very, very simple. Brahman, what you call Brahman, is pure consciousness, pure awareness. In fact, when you say awareness, you should also include existence, consciousness, bliss, or existence, awareness, bliss. They go together, they are inseparable. When you mention consciousness, you are also mentioning existence. When you mention existence, you are also mentioning consciousness. When you mention consciousness and existence, you are also mentioning bliss. Because bliss is our ultimate nature, and all effort is to reach that state where we are effortlessly in a state of bliss, formless state where there is no question of birth or death. Only if it is material, we can talk about birth or death. When it is non-material, how can we talk about birth or death? A jnani, a realized being, has reached that state where he sees himself within himself as the only one entity existing. And that one alone makes everything function. As he says in Atma Bodham, translation of Shankara's work, he says, Ellavatrum Paravi, having spread everywhere, Ellamum Tangi Nindru, supporting everything like a pillar, Ellam Ulirvikkum En, it reveals everything in the existence. So Atma is fundamentally the revealer. Nothing in the existence can reveal back Atma. Atma is the revealer. It can never be known through the instruments, the five senses or the mind. No, we can intellectually understand what it is. And as he says in Astamalaga Stotram, when the buddhi, when the intellect subsides, topples down, you will shine forth as shine forth without reflection, without reflected consciousness. So What we entertain day in and day out in us is what is called reflected consciousness or reduced consciousness. Reflection of what? Original consciousness. How many original consciousness are there? One. How many reflected consciousness are there? 7.2 billion. As many individuals as there are, plus maybe individuals in other planets, animals, plants, etc. Because the ultimate reference point of Advaita Vedanta is one only exists. What? Sat Chit Anandam, existence, consciousness, bliss. Who are you talking about? You, me, everyone. That is our inner nature, ultimate nature. And through practices, we do get transformed. Bhagavan himself has used the word transformation. Because when the rishis say Tattvamasi, that thou art, you are Satchitanandam. In our experiential state, are we Satchitanandam? No. We experience ourselves only as this limited individual. That is the whole game. That is the trickery, so to say. That is the conspiracy. That through a mechanism, we have been reduced to experiencing ourselves only as an individual. Then how will you get to that state? Through practice, through breath control. Bhagavan has not recommended any other methods majorly when compared to Vicharam, Atma Vicharam. He would always insist only on do self-inquiry. Who am I? If thoughts come, to whom is this thought? To me. Who am I? Which is the birthplace of that I thought. Where is all the thoughts kept, stored? Which is the place? Who is entertaining the thought? He would ask us to inquire this way. He only recommends additionally one method, which is breath control. Because both breath and I thought arise from the same source. So when one subsides, another subsides too. That is why he recommended. So in this verse, that is what he says. When you do vicharam, push the ego to its source. When you keep your attention on the source, on the pinhole, the place at which I thought is born, if you keep your attention there, this will result. What will result? Memories will go, vasanas. The vasanas, memories that we have brought about from previous births, it will get destroyed and your breath will subside fully. You will be in a state of rest and peace. When Bhagavan talks about mauna, which is silence, he is not talking about some external silence. He is not talking about a particular psychological state. He talks about the fan which is running inside, no, that needs to stop completely. What is called the mind, the fan called the mind needs to stop completely. That will happen only when we keep our attention on the source of I thought. In fact, some people talk about self-attention, which I don't think it is appropriate, because if you say self-attention, there must be two. One person must be there in order to keep attention on the self. No, mechanically, in terms of process, what is possible is you can search for the source of I thought and keep your attention on that place. That's all. Beyond that, Shri Bhagavan says, after that the beyond will take care of itself, which means Atma will take care of itself, because that is a state, non-differentiated state. There is no such thing as an individual at all there. Supposing there are 100 jnanis, when they are in that state, there is only one thing, which is consciousness, which is jnanam. That's all. Once ego arises, yes, then Ramana Maharshi, Adi Shankara, or any other rishi or Patanjali. So differentiation comes only on the rise of the I thought. So this is the whole magic. As he says, Ahande undayin anaitum undahum. That verse he says, Ulladhu Naarpadhu. When ego rises, everything else rises. When ego subsides, everything goes. And hence he says, if you want to give up everything, your thoughts, the only way is to seek the source of I thought. Because you cannot attack every thought. You can only inquire as to which is the birthplace of this I thought. That is the only thing he has recommended very, very, very strongly. And compared to the teachings of all other Upanishads and other teachers, Shri Bhagavan is very, very clear. Like a mechanical engineer, he says, seek the source of I thought will topple down, there Atma will shine forth of its own accord. Underline. You don't have to make the Atma shine. You cannot make the sun shine. Cloud comes and veils. It does not mean sun is not there. Same way, that one Atma, formless, infinite, untouched, unmoving Atma is ever present. That is what you are. We are not talking about anybody. This privilege, this is not something which is a privilege of only jnanis. He says, that is what everyone is. He says, Adani and Amarigal Arthidavum. He says, the Upanishads say that you are that already. So instead of making a choice as to who you are, you should not be thinking that I am this, I am that, I am not that, I am this. He says it's a waste of time. But then, let us be practical. It takes time, persistence, determination to know our true nature, to be liberated from the cycle of birth and death. He says that is the only purpose of this birth, he says, human birth. What? To liberate yourself. Otherwise, Saranam Adindadan Peram, he would say. That is the very purpose of having taken this human birth. What? Work towards liberation. Find out your true nature. In Upadesa Saram, he says, Nananum Sorpurulamadu Nalume, he says the meaning of the very word you utter, I, the word I you utter, refers to Brahman, not to this body mind, he says. But this is a conspiration mechanism. That's what I see. Sri Vivekananda called it hypnotization and dehypnotization. I personally feel that it is a fooling and defooling mechanism. Why should the limitless, all-pervading, unmoving, unshaking, all-powerful Atma, why should it experience itself only as this limited individual? That is the question. That is how things are. Let us accept it. Let us do what the Guru has directed us to do. And then liberate ourselves from the cycle of birth and death. So in this verse he says, when you do a vicharam, Atma vicharam, self-enquiry, when the thought subsides, not only the vasanas, previous birth memories, etc. will go, the breath will also subside. You will remain in a state of stillness. As the Bible says, be still and know that I am God. So this is a continuous effort. It doesn't happen overnight. Bhagavan himself says in Arunachala Aksharamana, he says, slowly Arunachala you reveal yourself to be. So patience is very important. Persistence is very important. Let us think about it.